The summer of 2038 was the hottest on record in northern Arizona. 17-year-old Lucas Ramirez often took long evening hikes across the desert mesas outside his town, where the ground cracked under his boots and cicadas sang their metallic chorus. He preferred the silence of the desert to the noise of home, where his father yelled at his mother for bills, and his younger siblings fought over dinner. Out here, under the vast purple sky, he felt like the earth could breathe through him. It was on one of those nights, beneath the silver gleam of a swollen moon, that he first found her. At first, he thought it was wreckage from a small plane, a metallic shape half buried in the sand, edges still glowing faintly like metal fresh from a forge. The air shimmered above it, and his nostrils filled with the acrid scent of ozone. He stepped closer, shielding his face. That was when he saw her, collapsed a few feet from the object. She wasn't human. Her skin was a pale lavender, smooth and faintly luminous, and her eyes, half-lidded, shone like liquid silver. She was dressed in torn material that looked woven from strands of light itself, though dirt and blood dulled its glow. Her chest rose shallowly, and Lucas's instinct screamed she was dying. "Hey, hey!" Lucas dropped to his knees, his hands trembling. He looked around, but there was no one else on this empty stretch of desert. Just him and her. He touched her arm, and her skin was shockingly cool, like river stone in shadow. Her eyes flickered open. She whispered something, syllables that made no sense to him, flowing and musical. Then, as if realizing he didn't understand, she tried again. Her accent was strange, halting, but the words were clear enough. "Help me." Lucas pressed his palms against a wound near her ribs, but blood, thicker and darker than human blood, slipped between his fingers. He had no first aid training, no clue what to do. He wanted to call 911, but what would he even say? "I found a dying alien in the desert?" Her hand shot up, gripping his wrist with surprising strength. "No, no others. Only you." "Me?" Lucas croaked. His heart hammered. "You found me," she whispered. "You pulled me from the fire." Her gaze softened. "But I cannot stay. Too dangerous." Lucas swallowed. "You're dying. Let me—" "No," she coughed, and her voice thinned. "Your world not ready. You not ready." Tears blurred his vision. He didn't understand why he cared so much. Maybe because she looked fragile and alone, the way he often felt. Maybe because in her eyes, he saw something more than human. A light that made him believe she wasn't supposed to fade away in the dirt. Her silver gaze locked on his. "Return when older, when you are grown. Then we meet again." Her hand trembled as she brushed his cheek. "Promise?" Lucas nodded, choked with emotion. "I promise." Her lips curved in a faint smile. Then, as if weightless, her body dissolved into thousands of motes of shimmering light. The metallic wreck behind her folded in on itself, collapsing soundlessly into a sphere no bigger than a marble before winking out of existence. The desert was silent again. Only the cicadas remained, buzzing their endless song. Lucas staggered home that night, dazed, clutching the memory of her touch like a secret flame. He told no one. Who would believe him? 11 years later. By 2049, Lucas was no longer a restless teen. At 28, he worked as a mechanical engineer in Phoenix, his nights consumed by designing propulsion systems for experimental aerospace projects. But no matter how deep he buried himself in equations and blueprints, a part of him lived back in that desert night. He had dated women, made friends, even laughed. But always, beneath it all, her silver eyes haunted him. Return when older. The words whispered like a vow. One evening in late July, restless again, he drove out into the desert where it had all begun. The same mesa stretched wide under the stars, though the town's lights glowed brighter on the horizon than they had years ago. He parked his truck and walked, his boots crunching the cracked earth. He carried with him a small token, the silver marble that had been left behind when the wreck vanished. He had found it buried shallow in the sand the next morning after that fateful night. It pulsed faintly with inner light, like a heartbeat, and though scientists he discreetly consulted could never identify it, he knew it belonged to her. "All right," he muttered to the night sky. "I came back, like I promised." The desert answered with silence. But then the marble in his palm grew warm. Light bled from its surface, brighter and brighter, until Lucas had to shield his eyes. When the brilliance faded, a figure stood before him. Her. She looked exactly as she had 11 years ago, lavender skin glowing, silver eyes deep as moonlight, hair falling like strands of dark crystal. Time had not touched her. "You returned," she said softly, her voice carrying the same musical cadence. Lucas's breath caught. "I promised, didn't I?" A smile curved her lips. "Most promises of youth are forgotten, but not yours." He wanted to speak, to ask 1,000 questions, but he could only stare. She reached out and touched his hand, her fingers cool yet electric. "You are grown now," she said. "Strong. Ready." "For what?" Her gaze flicked to the stars above. "For the truth." She led him to where the desert cracked into a narrow ravine. With a wave of her hand, reality itself seemed to bend, revealing a hidden vessel cloaked in shimmering distortion. It was sleek, shaped like a crescent of silver light. "You saved me once," she said. "Now I ask again. Come with me. My people are at war, and Earth's fate will soon be tied to ours. I waited until you were old enough to choose freely. Do you wish to walk among the stars?" Lucas's heart thundered. He thought of his family, his work, the life he had built, and then he thought of her, waiting all these years, holding faith in a boy's promise. "Yes," he said, "I'll go with you." Her silver eyes glowed. She clasped his hand firmly, as though sealing a pact. "Then your life will never be the same." They boarded the vessel, and as it rose silently into the night sky, Lucas looked back one last time at the desert that had shaped him. The lights of his hometown flickered faintly on the horizon, small and fragile against the vastness above. Beside him, the alien girl, no, the alien woman, stood radiant and unshaken. He realized he didn't even know her name. "What should I call you?" he asked. She tilted her head, considering. "Erythra," she said, "and you, Lucas, are not just savior. You are chosen." The stars unfolded before them, endless and waiting. And for the first time in his life, Lucas felt exactly where he was meant to be.